All right, welcome back, everyone, to a special edition of Silver Cosmos Movie Reviews.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. All right, you guys, this is a special edition. So don't forget, we will also do another episode of Dune. So stay tuned to that as well. Follow us on our links. We have Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, our webpage. Like, subscribe. And if you have any suggestions, giveaway, or talk to us, follow us there. Next week, we have the Cutting Crew's coming back. Chris, I'm excited for the Cutting Crew.
Looking forward to that.
And we have some new channels coming up. We'll talk about that shortly. So real quick, before we dive into The Matrix, let's go ahead and give a quick break and thank you to our following sponsors.
Hey guys, it's Chris with a K coming at you to let you know about a couple of my favorite podcasts, Silver Cosmos Movie Review and Wichita Vice. Join us in Silver Cosmos as we go in-depth analysis and galaxy-expanding reviews, and also Wichita Vice as we dig deep into all of our favorite comic book and sci-fi characters and storylines. Again, that's Silver Cosmos Movie Review and Wichita Vice.
All right. So in 1999, a breakthrough in the movies. There was a lot of good movies coming out in that time, and Marquez and I, Chris, Jesse, we see this movie that's about to come out. What is The Matrix? I was like, The Matrix, that looks kind of interesting. Of course, got Keanu Reeves. You know, I was like, oh, Keanu Reeves. You know, because I was watching him in other movies. There was a movie he was in before. What was the one with him and Al Pacino?
The Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
I was like,
that was an intense movie.
Dude, that was
intense.
a wild.
Yeah, well,
Charlize Theron was also in
of
that.
course,
She
of
was.
course.
I think that was his.
Her debut.
Yeah, but I think she was just like one of those evil.
She played Keanu Reeves' wife.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
She's
Yeah,
come
yeah,
into
yeah.
that.
She had some crazy times in it.
But now, so
Yeah.
in this time, we are introduced by the directors, the Wachowskis.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just leave it at that because they were brothers at first, and then they became sisters. Long story short. So they started off with this budget, $63 million, and the accolades they've got. They were winner of 4 Academy Awards in their special effects. And so in March 29, 1999, Marquez, we see The Matrix comes out. Now, the heavy hitters here, let's start off with the actors. We have Keanu Reeves that portrays as Neo, a.k.a. Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
We have Lawrence Fishburne
Mr. Anderson
that portrays as
Morpheus.
Yes. And we have Carrie Ann Moss as Trinity. And Hugo Weaving, I like him. He's cool.
Yeah.
Agent Smith. So I'm going to go ahead and start this off with you, Marcos. What is The Matrix?
The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world. No, I'm just playing.
Basically.
To quote Morpheus. No, but the Matrix movie franchise, honestly, it pretty much changed the way I looked at movies. I started to see movies as an art form rather than just, weekend pastime. It came out at a time when sci-fi, you didn't really have a whole. You had Star Wars, I think, also came out that year, episode 1, but it was kind of stagnant, at that time, for movies, sci-fi movies, for me at least on the big screen, and it just not just the visuals, but it was a lot of philosophy, mixed with the martial arts and the Eastern martial arts and Western gunplay, the look of the movie. Not a lot of people noticed this right at first, but the background was always green when they were in the Matrix. Did you guys notice that? And
it was like a green and gray.
Yeah.
It was like a nowhere type of feel to it, like I roll.
And then they were in the real world. I'm using quotey fingers, guys. I know you can't see. It was always blue, and I always wondered, those colors, did they represent anything specific? And the Matrix, like I say, Carlos, to answer your question, what is it? I mean, there's so many ways to answer that. I mean, it's fun, it's loud, it's revolutionary, it's innovative. It changed so much for me at that time. I mean, I even actually started to go back and watch other things that a lot of those other actors and actresses were in, just because I like the movie so much. I mean, no, it really was ahead of its time. I mean, I think it's the first Matrix movie. It's still good today.
I would definitely say it's still the best of all the. In my personal, the original Matrix is still the best of the Matrix franchise.
Well, because like that at that time it was like all the electronics and stuff, were getting beefier, and then like the show was
it
like
it did have. I mean, it's the first one to do bullet time and special effects, but also it wasn't a box office hit. The first Matrix.
No,
it didn't fail or anything at the box, but it wasn't a hit by any means. I remember I didn't see it until you said it came out like March of '99. I certainly didn't see it until the end of that year on VHS or DVD or whatever was. Or
you weren't cool because it was on
actually,
DVD.
I think I went on DVD. I went to the second release theater, like the Palace, the $1 theater where it's like
$1.50.
Where back then it was not.
I remember it went from $0.75, $1, $25, $50, $2.50.
Yeah.
But then when it had that traction that it didn't really hit until later that year, and then really from the end of '99 through 2000, it just continued to blow. And I think even when you watch it, they weren't. When they wrote The Matrix, they did not that they weren't like, oh, we could take it here, but when they finished that movie, they did not necessarily intend on there being sequels.
No,
like it has a very clear. They could have ended it and never done another one, and it would have still be what it is today, which is there's so much going on with it from their point of view. I think everything that they did with it was very specific to them. They were trying to tell things, and I'm not a poetic person enough to be able to root out what they meant, what they were saying for themselves. I can only look at it from what it said for me. I mean, there's definitely a lot of Judeo-Christian things going on with it. I mean, Neo also can be called one. He dies and comes back. There's a lot of Christian symbolism. He's betrayed by one of his own inner circles.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that. That's a big thing. And for me at that time, it was a very religious point in my life, and so there was a lot of stuff that I took from that aspect of it. But also, it's a very even if you're not into the Judeo-Christian, it's just a very spiritual movie because you're looking at, it's like the Confucius thing of a man dreamt he was a butterfly. Was he actually dreaming when he was a butterfly or dreaming when he's a man?
Mm-hmm.
When are we awake? Or, is the life that we're leaving, and the guy that betrays him has that deal. Like, I don't care if this steak is real or not.
Yeah.
I just enjoy that. I just want to enjoy it again.
Yeah, Cypher.
Yeah, Cypher.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, Marquez, let's talk about the theme plot of it. Tell me what is now the movie itself, The Matrix, about.
Basically, it's about, I think, our over-reliance on technology at its core.
I agree.
Basically, it's like when the way we use technology, is it helping us or hurting us? I mean, over-reliance. I mean, what can we do to or with technology before it starts to do things to us? Pretty much is what it's all about. Now, I think The Matrix is an original property, but the whole war against the machines aspect of it, that's something that's been done before. That's another thing I would credit The Matrix with, is that it was completely original, except for the machine war. But
the way they went about the machine war was completely original.
That's what I was thinking, that they implemented it differently. But and like I say, it's really, for me personally, like you said, it's a lot of layers of meaning in the movie. But for me personally, it's about self-reflection. Like when Morpheus asked him, if you were in a dream, what if it was so real, you weren't sure it was a dream? How would you wake from that dream? And it's like, to me, dreams are like self-reflections. They're well, I'm not a dream expert or anything like that, but a lot of times, I notice that when I dream, sometimes I wake up feeling anxiety, even if I don't remember the dream. And I think that speaks a lot to basically where your mind goes when you're not conscious, and it asks the question, what is consciousness? No one has definitively answered that question yet. What is consciousness?
In the movie, you were talking about the characters itself, Jesse. So in the characters, for example, the agents, what makes them so unique in that movie?
Man, that's like so they're, I think they're like viruses. So if they if they feel like something's wrong in their world, they'll come and try to destroy it.
I think of them more as like chat room moderators.
Yeah.
Like if someone's out of line, they just pop up and they're like, "Nope, you're out," and they shut it down. Okay. I mean, you've got a pretty standard rebellion power story on the surface level. You know, there's a rebellion of people fighting against the machines in the ongoing war, and Neo is the one to that prophecy has said.
Yeah,
and in the movie, of course, this movie, and it's kind of, and they do a little good things through the original trilogy where they mix it up a little bit, but he is that stereotypical hero of prophecy to come and end the war with the machines by triumph with the humans, and it kind of looks like it's going to end that way, but. And some of the other cool things I really like about it, I do like that idea of like the jacking in, like, oh, I can just plug in and download Kung Fu real quick, and now
Kung Fu,
I
know Kung Fu,
yeah,
exactly.
And that was the thing, Chris. Like for me, the second movie was the best one. I mean, we get to see a progression. I think the fact that in that movie where Neo has come into the fullness of his powers, and
that was cool when you start to see him flying,
and stuff like that, because he flew at the end of the last movie, and the first thing in my mind was, what was that? What's that going to be like?
Right.
Okay. Where's that? Where's it going to go with that?
Back to the first movie.
Okay.
Back to the first movie.
Well, he does fly at the end of the first.
Yes,
movie.
at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about real quick, Jesse. What was one of your favorite scenes in the first movie?
So I think one of the best scenes was when Neo took the pill and then woke up in the actual real world, and you see his eyes. He's just like, what?
And then
what's
your first
going on? Like,
isn't that your first view of
that's
the
literally
pods?
like a baby, coming to being reborn, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
If he's in, because he obviously was in the pod, but that was probably one of the coolest episodes. The scenes led up to him being awoken into the actual real world and not the virtual world.
Well, and when that happens, just imagine you close your eyes and then open them, and all of a sudden you have all these tubes attached. You're in this gelatinous substance,
it's
naked,
like a pink goo. It's
and
like
you've just got all these tubes. You can't hardly move because your body's never actually moved.
Yeah,
and then all the different smells.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, pop, drops you out.
And then you just slide down the.
That's pretty wild.
Now so on that for the people that have never seen The Matrix, elaborate a little bit of that tube that you're talking about.
Oh, while the people are in their pods, they're essentially intravenously fed and maintained through this series of ports in their body, runs up and down their spine, throughout their arms and legs, essentially to keep all their muscles and stuff from completely degenerating, because they're trying to get electricity, and electricity runs through the bottles, through muscles and all that, mostly in the brain, which is why they keep that the most active. And so when they come out, they have to detach all that stuff, and then you have to go eat some like nasty looking grub.
It's just like looks like what do they call that? Like
SOS.
It's something, man. I don't know.
But I would
Slop.
say my favorite scene in that movie is when they go to save Morpheus.
Yeah,
Man,
you took
that's
that away from me. You took that away from me.
I'm a glutton for the action, and when they walk in that it's that opening or it's the foyer or the entry to the hotel, that bottom layer, and they go through the metal detectors with the bags of just full of guns.
Yeah.
Just Trinity and
That's-
Neo are just dropping them like flies.
Yeah,
man.
that was an epic scene. Yeah.
Just love all the tiles like flying around.
Well, and it was
all the bodies
because he doesn't do
flying.
bullet time just yet. Then, but part of that. It wasn't just bullet time with, that's the big word catchphrase from the movie, but it was that whole direction, the way that they did all the martial arts and, flipping over all this
wire suspensions.
Yeah, all the cartwheels with, And the jacket, they had the whole jackets and they're all spinning, flipping, flaring out. It just looked really.
I was wondering
freaking
why
cool.
my freshman year people were buying those jackets. I go, I've seen that jacket somewhere.
That's probably why.
Well, because during
The
it was a
trench coats,
cultural,
I
it was a
mean,
cultural shot for everyone. When the Matrix came out, you start seeing people dressing like Neo. They were wearing the jackets. And
Dude, people still like Halloween parties dressed up as Neo and Trinity.
Sure.
I've seen it.
So it was a culture change on that. Oh, Marquez, what was your favorite part of the first movie?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I loved so much about that movie.
Well, pick one.
If I had to pick, if you held me down and said, pick one,
Meow.
it was probably when Neo finally realized, okay, I am the one. Just the scene where he stopped all the bullets. He just said no, and he started fighting Agent Smith with one hand.
Right. That was kind of unique.
And he flew into Agent Smith and exploded him, and then he flexed.
And the whole.
And I'm thinking like, I wish I could do that.
You
Just
see like
flexing the walls
time and
bend
space
around.
like bends over.
Yeah. And that was like, what?
I really
that was
like
my favorite scene. Man.
his scene with the Oracle too, and the kid. Well,
the spoon.
Yeah, not the Oracle itself, but the kid in the Oracle's room, where the trick is to not trying to bend the spoon, but that the spoon is not there.
Yeah,
it's not real.
And there's so much I could say about the scenes and the dialogue, and then like one of the things that really just had my mind going was when Morpheus first just told Neo. He said that I feel I owe you an apology. We never free a mind once it's reached a certain age. It's dangerous, and the mind, it has trouble letting go. And he said that, when the Matrix was first built, there was a man born inside. It was he who freed the first of us, and when he died, the Oracle prophesied his return and that his coming would hail the destruction of the God, I watched that movie so much. But, no, that was almost verbatim from what he said.
That's good
but
stuff.
no, my mind, I was like, okay, what was that like? Who was he? How did that happen? Could you guys imagine a young Morpheus being freed and stuff like that? Who freed Trinity, all the rest of them? That, to me, the Matrix trilogy, the original trilogy, set itself up for a prequel as opposed to a sequel.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I would have
Just that was the first thing I thought about when he said that. I was like, oh, okay, who was the first one? And then they compounded it by saying, okay, there was 6 of them, and I thought, okay, well,
6 movies.
Yeah, like so. But no, that
I was gonna say, kind of 2 takes care of.
Well, how about that?
Yeah.
So does the Animatrix explain any of that? Which, by the way, is the cartoon.
No, I
Clips.
feel
Man,
like
it's
more
been
that's
forever since I don't even remember.
I feel
any
like
of that
those
shit.
are more
Yeah.
just intermingled, just short stories of essentially like almost daily life.
they
for
were
the
canon though. They said they were canon.
right,
back
but
then.
I don't
They
think it
are-
was any of there wasn't any building of prior to.
Well, we got to see how the war started.
Was
You
that
know?
The first Renaissance and the
Yeah,
second. Okay.
yeah, and that was about it though.
All
I
right.
mean,
Well, okay. I'll say on my favorite scene, I liked when the agents were coming after him, and you know how at first they got him and they took him to the station, and then he was telling about rights. I know my
and
rights.
and his mouth
Right.
just started to.
I was like, this is crazy.
They had that it was like
The little bug.
like that plug, and that turned into a bug, and then they
Yeah,
threw it down his throat, and you hear like the
His
digital,
navel. Yeah.
the digital
Oh.
screaming.
yeah.
Like I was just like, oh jeez.
That's correct. So, short, real quick, Jesse. So, why is it worth watching The Matrix?
Man, I think if you're into science fiction and you want a real mind blower, I mean, I would definitely rewatch it again.
Yes.
I think it's not even science fiction. I mean, it hits so many levels, and you can really just. I mean, anyone can see their own truth, so to speak, on it. So I think it's a definite must see. It changed the way movies were filmed in some
Yeah.
ways, artistically and such. And I mean, it was a really game changer in the cinematic world.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I would say if you're looking for it's thrilling. It's serious. There's not much by way of humor in the
No.
Matrix, but no, if you're looking for something that is out there that makes you think and full of action, but at the same time it comes together and it makes sense, then I would definitely recommend The Matrix.
And on my end, this is the reason why this is is part of the National Library of Congress. This movie has been preserved because the simple fact is all the elements of religion, thought, thesis, action. It was a beautiful blend of everything, and it made you question, made you think, like, wow. Now, I didn't go out there. I wasn't that guy when I left the movie theater. I'm thinking, is this real? No, that's massive fail. But overall, I just liked how the script was, the effects for its time. So you grown to appreciate it. So therefore, yes, I find it's worth it. So this is a movie that definitely, if you've never watched it, give it a shot and talk to people. And also, when you're looking into it, get ready because we're getting ready to dive into the sequel. So now let's moving on to the sequel. We have The Matrix Reloaded, of course, directed by the Wachowskis. They had a budget of between 127 150 million. It debuted May 7th of 2003. So same characters going in. They had a couple of different ones going, some new ones. The one that stood out, of course, is Jada Pickett Smith. By the way, her character, Nairobi, that's her name, right?
Nairobi.
Now, originally was supposed to be portrayed by Aaliyah, the singer Aaliyah, but she passed away, so they casted Jada Pickett Smith in her role. So there is clips out there of Aaliyah when she was auditioning, doing it. She was already set. That was going to be her role, but when she died, Jada went ahead and took the mantle on that. So I'm going to start this off with you, Marquez. What is The Matrix Reloaded about?
Oh, like I said before, Carlos.
Well, you're jumping the gun, so I'm just trying to...
I know, I always, because I get excited about the Matrix a lot, but like I said, Neo comes into the fullness of his powers, and we get to see how basically I think everything progressed just like it should have. I mean, we get to see what actually happened with Agent Smith when Neo basically flew into him. I guess he created this connection between them. And that was an interesting dynamic that I thought was, I thought they didn't really explore how that happened, just that it did. And we got to see a lot of new characters. We got to see the Merovingian.
The architect also.
The architect, yeah. Persephone, Link, the new pilot, or the new operator on the, I don't even know. I can't remember. I don't even know if that was still the Nebuchadnezzar, right? Yeah, it was. Because it was just at the end of the first movie. That ship was getting ripped apart. I was like, okay, that's done. But no, I guess it survived. But yeah, it was just a pretty good progression of everything. And you got to see, I think the second one was more about choice. You know, it was mostly, that was pretty much what the second movie was about, choice. And how our ability to choose in and of itself creates its own problems. If every decision was made for us, then...
Well, yeah, like kind of when they went to the castle with like the vampire guys.
Yeah.
And then I forget the bad guy.
The Merovingian.
Yeah, because he was explaining choices. He's like,
yeah,
I'll give this, cake to this girl.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I won't go into more into that. But
yeah, it was pretty funny. But it really explored a lot of just internalized, like you said, it made you think. I mean, like, if choice gives us agency, if someone removes the choice, is that better for us? Because our choices, it led to ruin. So it was just I can't stop thinking about how deep I was into the philosophy of the Matrix back when it came out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's ultimately, Carlos, what it's about is choice.
When just the overall, that's the Matrix's, the whole franchises, I would say, their overall theme. I mean, and it's something that the Wachowskis have been open about, that the Matrix is somewhat of a metaphor for their life decisions, the choices that they've made, and how they were under the guile of things but not free. And that's part of the thing that Agent Smith went through, is he went through this transformation when Neo did do that, and it broke his code. Yeah. And so he was no longer constrained to his original programming that the machines had put on the agents to govern the Matrix itself. Yeah. And so he was now able to do some of the things that Neo could do. He could replicate himself. he could. I don't think he could fly.
I don't remember he ever flew.
Yeah,
I don't
yet.
think
He
did.
flew in the next movie.
Oh,
okay.
jumping the gun, Carlos.
Oh, come on. Oh, yeah.
Guilty.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the first one was my favorite. That doesn't mean that I don't like the second one. I think if you watch the first one, you're going to want to watch the rest of them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't think that this is necessarily a letdown. What I felt like is that they were starting to get maybe a little studio pressure. It just didn't seem as quite as that everything that they did meant something. It seemed that they really wanted to lean a little bit more on the fighting and action, which was okay. I mean, I really liked the whole, which was the recurring scene with Trinity showing up on her bike.
Yeah, but it was cool,
Yeah.
like the love story between Neo and Trinity.
And that's
getting
really
more
what
heavily
it
involved in the
expanded
second
more.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
Because that's the choice that he gets at the end. is,
literally.
yeah.
you know,
we got to see Zion. You
Yeah,
know,
Zion,
It was
flesh that out a little bit more.
Yeah, what didn't look anything like I thought it would.
Me either.
But
I thought it'd be more industrialized.
yeah.
But that's anytime I hear someone say 100, I always hear in my head Morpheus for 100 years. it's just,
Yeah. Oh, that speech
Yeah.
that he gave. Yeah.
Well, Jesse, in the Matrix Reloaded, one of the characters that were the Merovingian, of course, the ghosts were pretty cool. I wish they had more of the I thought they were going to make it, because when I
Those
saw it on
dudes
the
are
theatrical
bad.
trailer, I was like, whoa, those guys are so cool.
They were like ghost vampires.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they were.
They were just programs.
Yeah,
that-
well, they were programs, obviously.
at the end, so I did my little research on it. And what it is they're just programs that were just kind of like they were rebelling. They rebelled, and they just were programs in the Matrix. And when they're getting kicked out because they're like, you're not part of it, they were going to get dissimulated. So you remember the little girl, right? The little girl.
The oracles.
The
basically was training her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like the werewolves, they explained it in the movie. They were just there because they kind of rebelled and did their own thing. And when they were to be deciphered out of the Matrix, they didn't want to go.
They'd get him in.
So the Merovingian, pretty much, he's like, "Hey, come on."
But I think some of them were failed guardians of prior Matrixes, essentially. And yeah, it was like code that had been woken up. That's kind of why they get to work in a little bit.
right. And then the
Trying to find
intense,
the
in the intense
architect.
battle when you meet the architect, what was so special about the architect, Marquez?
Just how methodical and precision based focused his mind was. You know, he spoke like I thought a machine would speak. You know,
He said words I never understood
yeah.
either. It was like ASMR. I was just falling asleep when he was saying. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm
man,
asleep.
he was because like that was his version of the Matrix, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, is he human? Is he
No.
human,
No,
or he's a
he's-
program?
he's a
He's
program.
a program. He's
Okay.
just designed to balance the system. Basically, is what his job is.
Basically, he and the Oracle.
Or yeah,
It's their mother and father. I thought it's
yeah. Well, they play off of each other. They can't exist without the other.
right.
One is to balance it, and the Oracle is to unbalance it. And this dynamic, this digital variation of yin and yang, it gives everything order.
Which allows people to not reject it.
Yeah, exactly. They all accept the program.
Because that's what they've gotten to these different, which is something you're learning in the architect, isn't it? That they've gone through these different versions of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
different versions
Because
of the
at
Matrix.
time, like they started with a paradise, but
Yeah.
people were like, "This isn't real."
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
too many people were figuring it out, and so they've had all these back and forths of trying to, like you say, get a balanced system
Yeah.
that's not rejected.
Yeah, to keep us under control.
And part of that is having the one,
Yeah, pretty much the idea of a savior.
the idea of the savior, which
Yeah.
which also goes back to all those overtones of religiousness and
Yeah.
and the control of populations through tech, through religion. I think they've got streams of that throughout their movies as well.
So
Yeah.
So Jesse, what was your favorite part of the Matrix Reloaded?
Man, I think it was kind of cool when he met the architect, and the architect explained, what was actually going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. That was like very interesting. But like you were saying, a lot of big words at the time, and I was
Yeah.
also like, okay, I don't know what that means, but cool.
You, Chris?
I got to go for the big action beginning there when he fights Agent Smith.
Oh, the crows. I remember the birds. That's all I
Yeah.
remember, the crows. You, Marquez?
I think it was the highway chase scene.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Marquez,
that was
this is the second time in a row you're catching my favorite scenes.
What? No,
Are you in
that
my
was-
mind? Are you in my mind?
Yes, we're all plugged in. We're all checked.
I'm being serious.
It's the
I'm being
Matrix.
serious.
You're
Each
gonna go
time
highway
he
scene.
said so far his favorite scenes, those are my favorites. The
Yeah.
ghost scene, watching Morpheus fighting the ghost.
Yeah, when
with
he
the
cut that-
katana sword.
Yeah, when he cut that Escalade. and
Yeah,
he
like,
shot
in
the.
half.
Yeah, I was like,
dude,
what?
I was like, the highway chase scene, like, dude, that was pretty on point, dude.
Yeah, and Trinity was on that Ducati, and she
And
was
she was,
just
she was
weaving through
tearing at that
traffic.
man. She was just
Yeah, that was some stuff I do in Grand Theft Auto. You know? I was like, whoa. That was exactly.
Nice. All right,
Yeah.
so for that to conclude over, so we know in the Matrix Reloaded it explains that Agent Smith is now plugged in as in the human world and in
And, yeah,
the
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So now let's go ahead and take that on over to the next movie, which is the Matrix Revolutions. Okay, so Matrix Revolutions came out December 16th, and of course was directed by the Wachowskis again. It also I jumped ahead. It was actually November 23rd of 2003. I apologize about that. So the budget again about approximately 150 million. And on this one, this is the conclusion of the original of the trilogy. So I'm gonna start this off with Chris. Chris, so in the final scene of the Matrix Revolutions, what are we getting into right now?
Well, we're getting towards a final battle with the
the machines.
The machines, yeah.
basically.
I mean, in this rebellion that, Neo makes his final choice to not give up Zion and to save Trinity and Reloaded. So now the machines are like, well, the deal was we'll keep Zion going. Essentially, we're going to kill everybody, but we're going to let you reestablish Zion and keep this prophecy deal going. And that doesn't happen, so he chooses the other way, and so now it's time for
Epic battle time.
Yes.
Yeah.
but Neo's trapped, I believe, in the subway station
Yeah. I forgot about that.
at the end of Reloaded and at the beginning of Revolutions, and he's pretty banged up in the real world.
Yeah, it's like they say he's reading like someone's still jacked in. There's a connection to him and the Matrix, even if he's not jacked in.
I forget. So was
Yeah.
he on the ship when didn't the ship get attacked by a
He was on the hammer still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Because when the ship blew up and another ship picks them up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
who they picked up was the Bane, the guy, I think his name was Bane, and
Yep.
he was
Yeah.
actually
Yep.
Agent
Smith.
Smith. So and what's going on is when Neo is in the Matrix, he's trying to get on the train because the train can take him out, but the Merovingian knows, hey, I got Neo, and Neo can't just fly because he
Right.
doesn't control that.
Right.
So that took me a while to understand that, and so finally I understand that for those programs that don't want to get deleted, they go through the Merovingian to not get destroyed. Some have to make sacrifices because it's like, hey, you know what? We can't take you. And so this is where we see the girl that was with the Oracle, because during this time,
Seti, yeah.
Seti, she gets they all get simulated on it because Agent Smith in this time now has full control of the Matrix. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
he's
started to
literally in
completely
charge.
take over.
Yeah, he's-
Okay. So so explain to me, Chris, what is the
I don't
deal?
know if
Now,
I
one of the
can.
highlights. Yeah, I think you got this one. In this this climax of the fight, so we know on the human side we have the machines getting ready to attack Zion. They are like ready to go and attack. Now, on the other hand, we know that Agent Smith he's like a virus. He has taken over everything. Now, what is going on for Neo? What is the climax for him in this movie? Like, what is he dealing with?
Well, he's trying to end the war. I mean, he's trying to get, as far as I understand it, he's trying to get the machines. I mean, he's trying to fight back against the machines. And so they have some EMP stuff that they take care of, some sentinels, and that's when Neo and Trinity fly up over the clouds and finally they're trying to fly to the
core of the
Machine City.
The Machine City, and he's blinded at that time. He had been burnt. His eyes had been burnt because he had been in a big fight with Agent Smith on the ship as they're trying to get over there, and that's kind of he gets carried off by the machines, and that's so long. See ya, Neo.
So long. Adios, amigo.
Okay, let's retract it a little bit. Let's get back a little bit. Here's the thing. Okay, Marquez. All right, so we know already Zion, they have to embrace. They have to embrace because they're going to have to fight the machines.
Yeah.
Because back to the Matrix Reloaded, it was a choice that Neo had, am I right? Mm-hmm. To save Zion or go protect Trinity. And we know love was a choice. He said, hey, I'm going to go protect Trinity. So the consequences of that choice is now Zion is going to be attacked and reassimilated, right?
Yeah, because that's what the architect tells you.
That's understood. So now let's focus on this. So on this side, when Neo meets like you said, once they go into the Machine City, he meets the big machine, whatever that thing is. What is the deal? What is the dialogue that they're having? What is the deal?
Well, the machines, like Neo says, it's Agent Smith, the program Smith has grown beyond your control. You can't stop him, but I can. He basically bartered a deal with the machines. Hey, if you stop attacking Zion, I'll destroy Agent Smith for you. So he's fulfilling a prophecy of the one ending the war. Pretty much, they jack him in, and he goes and he fights Smith, and then when Smith copies him while he's jacked into the machine hard frame, they send I don't know what they use, like an antivirus software, something to purge Smith of the Matrix, effectively ending Smith. But now I don't know if that killed Neo. Prior to the fourth movie coming out, we didn't actually see Neo die. They carried him off, but we don't know if he actually died.
And the Oracle, there is that scene right at the very end where she's sitting with the little girl from the train stations.
Yeah.
She's like, will we ever see him again? And the Oracle's like, we might. Or something like that. Or you never know, we might see him again.
Yeah.
And then you see that, and you already see that the architect all upset. He looks all pissed off because you could just tell he had his little couple seconds of fame just looking at her like, you won this time. At least he didn't use big words this time, because I was like, oh, please don't use no more big words. Please.
Yeah. The Oracle tells Sati that.
So what was your favorite part of the Matrix Revolutions, Chris?
Of Revolutions? I don't know. It just wasn't. I don't know that I had a favorite part. I almost can't even recall that movie for some weird reason. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was a hot minute in a while.
It has been a little bit, but nothing really stood out to me super. I don't know. I can't pinpoint anything on it. I mean, I felt like things were kind of just wrapped up in a nice little bow, and I didn't feel like anything was necessarily pushed in this movie.
Yeah.
How about you, Marquez?
Okay, before I say this, Carlos, you tell me yours first, because I don't want to. Okay.
My favorite. Okay, so on the realistic side, when the machines invaded Zion.
Oh, dang it! That was.
See, I'm just destroying that part. I'll give two fronts. The reason why I like that side, because everyone was hands on deck and they were fighting.
Right. I mean, they were fighting for their lives, dude.
It was some brutality in there. There was a lot of teamwork, a lot of uplifting, and at the same time, you just thought, okay, there is no way they're going to win, because these bugs, they were like ants in the summer.
Because you could see them pouring in through the walls, man, in droves.
And then can you imagine imagine how many people were getting killed with these machines? They were just dropping. It was a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I liked when he got plugged in and there was all those Agent Smiths there, and they were all looking in the water scene, and then the buildings exploding. That was my favorite scenes. Okay,
I like the way it ended, the ending scene when Niobe held Morpheus, and she said, "Bless you, Neo," and they realized the prophecy was right. that kind of awakening. Like, oh, okay. I thought the movie ended beautifully. This is why, I have a hard time with a sequel because The Matrix was such a complete story.
Mm-hmm.
The original trilogy was such a beautifully written, just everything. It was just, they told the story they wanted to tell, So the way it ended to me was perfect, Carlos.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you asked because years later on,
many moons.
Some 15
Now-
years later.
we come to this point, and guess what? Your wish was your command.
Meanwhile,
The director, Lena Wachowski, the sister, decided, hey, let's go ahead and reintroduce another movie.
dun dun
So
dun.
on December 16th, The Matrix Resurrections debuted, and we see that the characters were in. Now, I'm just going to put off the main characters, Keanu Reeves,
Okay.
and also
Carrie-Anne Moss, yeah.
and then now back reprising her role, Jada Pickett Smith, and I keep forgetting what's her name, the actress that plays Bugs.
I forgot her name.
Why did we do her dirty like that?
the
And
Oh, she was in.
Iron Fist.
yes,
She-
Iron
Yeah.
Fist, Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't. I can't recall.
This is bad, you
I've
guys.
almost
You guys, we
got
got to
it.
come more
Come on.
prepared than
I mean,
this.
it's
Jessica
Henwick. All right, so
fine.
Jessica Henwick.
I won't forget your name
Gets her
again,
role.
Jessica.
She gets her role in, and as Bugs, you could tell she gets a lot of the storyline in this. So let's go ahead and dive in. So Marquez, what was the Matrix Resurrections about?
Dude, to be honest, like,
It was basically a resurrection
yeah,
of the
literally.
original trilogy. Neo at this point has been resurrected and
How?
plugged back.
They talk about it in the movie.
Well,
Yeah, don't ruin it, guy.
I mean, obviously, we're going to do some spoilers. We spoiled all the
yeah.
other movies.
Spoiler alert.
And by the way, that was my sarcastic how. I already know how.
yeah.
I know you were
Yes.
there with me. You watched it with
Yes.
me.
So
Oh, you
well,
guys watched it without
okay.
me, lame.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me just start out by saying I had high expectations for this movie. Now, this is going to contradict somewhat what I just said. I thought the original was such a complete trilogy, but I was curious as to how
they
would
get back into it.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thing. And I was thinking, and I asked the same thing. How? Apparently, Neil Patrick Harris, his character is designing a new version of the Matrix.
Yeah,
And-
the analyst.
yeah, the analyst.
Yeah.
And they need Trinity and Neo to survive. So you think about how when Morpheus said in the original, humans are no longer born, but they're grown. I guess in a weird way that makes sense that they would be able to regrow humans that have already existed. So that's how, they use the same technology to answer your question. That's how we see Neo and Trinity again in the Matrix in the same capacity that they somewhat were in the original trilogy. So, but to take it further, like I say, I had such high expectations. So I was kind of somewhat expecting to be disappointed, to a small degree. But it just, I don't know if my perspective now is different. I'm 22 years older than I was when the first movie came out. But I just, it was hard for me to just get into it like I did the original.
how about you, Chris?
Well, and I mean, that analyst, basically, he gets into, he's trying to make a better battery, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
And in doing so, I do like that they show, I think they could have gotten, there's a lot of things I think they could have done
Yeah, me too.
a little bit more that could have fleshed it out a little bit better. I'd like to see more of the interaction between the, quote unquote, good robots and the
Yeah.
humans that were still living,
The machine civil
and
war.
how those relationships built and interact more. That would have been a nice expansion. I was talking to a friend about this movie, and I said it kind of feels like, not that they wanted to like ruin their work or anything, but it kind of feels like someone was like, oh, you want to do that weird project no one's heard of? Well, if you do a Matrix for us, we'll give you the money to do that weird project that we don't want to give you money for, because we know Matrix is going to make us some money.
Yeah.
And that's almost kind of what it felt like. I thought putting the the way they had the Reeves or Neo and Trinity kind of walking that fine line of interaction, not interaction, was kind of weird.
Yeah, amongst other things.
What'd you think of the movie, Chris? I mean, sorry, Jesse.
Man, like I agree with like Chris though. It was just kind of a strange. Like the beginning of the movie was kind of strange.
Yeah,
You're just like, okay, so what's supposed to happen? And it just takes a little while for it to kind of click, I guess.
yeah.
If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that was something that when Marquez and I were watching it, I was in this cozy couch. You know, it was nice. It was cold outside, but I came inside. The essence was smelling good, and I was with my good friend Marquez watching the movie.
Oh,
So little expectations, a little here and there. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is it. This
Yeah,
is it.
yeah.
The Matrix is really here. So I'm watching it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, it's
The acting was dry at the beginning, Jesse. I was like, okay, this has got to come on, you guys, let's move along, let's get something going. And the way the script was written, and then to watch Neil Patrick Harris as a villain, I couldn't see him as a villain.
I see him as
Really?
Doogie Howser.
I think that's what makes him such a good villain.
I'm
I
sorry,
actually
fella.
liked his
But
role.
yeah.
I liked his blue glasses.
Yeah, that was
'Cause that
I
cord-
thought it was cool.
Well, we're
Take
just
your pills, Carlos. You need to take your. Did you
yeah,
take
I'm
your
going to
blue
take some
pill
pills
today?
because I was getting more upset the movie, and then of course Bugs, you know, of course I'm watching her, I'm giving her my undivided attention because I'm like, oh, there she is, okay, and then you know they kind of did something weird with their hair, but to watch Keanu Reeves, it kind of reminded me of going back to Point Break in his acting. You notice he got the
Yeah.
little California vibe thing going on. He's like, yeah,
He
that's
was
I'm a
definitely-
programmer.
Bro, I made the Matrix.
Yeah.
So you see because we've watched the movies before, so we're talking about maybe to the audience that have not seen the older movie, just perhaps saying they've not seen it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So when
who
you
had
see this movie, I can guarantee it. If no one's ever seen The Matrix and they watch this movie,
You're not
they're going to
gonna
be
get it.
lost.
Yeah, you won't
They're going to
get
like,
it.
what? What?
This is one you
'Cause
this is
it
the type
even
of thing
confused
you have
me.
to have seen
Yeah.
at least the original
Even though
because they
put-
use so many
Yeah.
scenes of the
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
original. Like
say.
you're not going to understand what these flashbacks mean unless you've seen the original to know where
Yeah,
they fit
yeah.
in that.
And then I just
No,
feel,
I just-
especially with the character, the one that portrays Agent Smith, he didn't seem pretty
No.
interesting to me. I mean, really, no one in that particular movie was. I mean, yes, when the Merovingian came back, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Jada Pickett Smith looks like how she's going to look like in real
Well,
life later on.
Yeah, I'm like,
I
so-
actually didn't
yeah.
like that. I think they should have just used an old lady actor. Like not like why do all the no one looks the same when they're 40 and when they're 80. Like you
No.
don't look the same.
Right.
Yeah.
You can be like, oh, I think I can tell the eyes are the same, but just get someone that's actually like an 80-year-old woman actress or 100 or however older she would have been.
Yeah.
I think it was 75 years. Was it
So
75
it's-
or
And
80
she was
years?
just kind of. I thought that was a weird character too. Like she was just kind of bitter and
Yeah.
pissed off, even though they were at the end of the first one, or at the end of the third one, like you were saying,
Yeah.
she was holding Morpheus, like, oh, like this was the thing
Yeah.
that we expected, and now she's this.
She's all mad.
General,
Yeah.
over here, boy.
you're not doing anything, Bugs.
Yeah.
You're sit down. Wait, come back here. We need you, to do this.
You are no longer a captain.
What?
Yeah. And,
Oh wait, we need you. You're more qualified. Come back.
for a minute, guys, I feel like I have to say something about the action, the fighting. Okay, I knew we weren't going to have the type of intricate martial arts scenes that we had in the original. You know, I wasn't expecting that, but it just seemed like,
It was bland.
yeah, I could
Very low key.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like, you know, when Neil stops the bullets, it makes sense that he would be able to stop a punch. You know, he was using that ability in his fighting. In fact, he used it a lot. Like, he would stop people from punching. He could repel people with it. I mean, that was kind of cool. And he was more defensive. He hesitated.
I saw a lot of Star Wars kind of going on the force, you know, like
Yeah,
and he's all these
everything.
hitting these, but like the
Well, it's
whole
like he
city,
couldn't
the city
control it.
scene, like the city scene when they were all coming in. I mean, that was kind of intense. That was kind
Yeah.
of a cool.
Oh
spot.
yeah, when they when he walked into the police station
Yeah.
and he had all the potential Agent Smiths there.
Yeah, those drones.
That
yeah.
was kind of cool.
And
I
then
mean,
Yeah.
So-
it wasn't horrible.
No.
It just
No.
again,
It definitely was
it
not
just
the
did
first
not
one.
feel like it had their heart in it like the first ones did.
Yeah.
Again, to me, it felt not necessarily like a cash grab, but like I'll do that in order to do this pet project over here.
Yeah.
It's just what or we made a contract to make a fourth one back 10 years ago, and now we got to get it done. And I haven't
also
written nothing yet.
I hope they don't
Yeah.
make a fifth one because
Oh, they
yeah,
can't.
I
think that's
I
good.
Not
don't
like
want to
this.
see another one. I don't
Not
want to see
unless
the
they're-
story continued.
Not
Honestly,
unless they're doing something completely different with it, either
Yeah.
a prequel type
yes,
deal or
definitely.
this is 50 years in the future. Now we have robots and humans that are living together, and we get into that, and it's more of a real world fight. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
What was cool was so I was watching a clip for Keanu Reeves, and Carrie-Anne Moss was talking to somebody about the Matrix, and Keanu said he was over at a friend director's house, and during the movie shoot, or I guess they were making a movie or whatever, and so he's like was explaining it, and then the director, his friend, was like, "Well, tell my kids about the original Matrix trilogy." So I guess he said that he was telling them about how he's trapped in this virtual world, and the kid's like, "Who cares?"
That'd be awesome.
Like, yeah, I would love that. And
Yeah.
he's like someone completely different from the movie, and then the person I was interviewing was like, "How do you feel about that?" And he goes, "Man, I think that's pretty cool." But I mean, it's it's weird. Like, just maybe it's different times. I guess.
Yeah,
Because
different
we have
demographic, yeah.
we do have virtual reality.
We do have
worlds
virtual
now.
reality now. It's
Yeah.
just that now it's like basically like the Matrix is not really relevant to like when we were like in like '98. We were like, "Whoa, man, that's pretty crazy. Like, what if that's going on?" It makes you think. But then nowadays everything's right here in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, social
So it's like,
media
well, yeah,
is kind of like-
who cares if you're in virtual reality? Like, this is pretty cool.
It's where we spend our lives. Right?
Literally.
All right, so that pretty much wraps it up on that. So now for the final act here. Out of all the Matrix movies, we already know the last one's not going to count. Marquez, what was your favorite Matrix? I pretty much know why from the way you've telling it. What was your favorite one?
Probably part 2. I think
Matrix Reloaded.
Reloaded. Yeah. I
Gotcha.
think
Chris,
I'm a OG. I like the original.
the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm an OG fellow as well.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the first one. It just laid out the platform. I mean, they could have ended it right then and there.
Yeah.
Kind of give it that Christopher Nolan vibe, but he wasn't there yet. But give it that Christopher Nolan, leave the what ifs. Like, okay, what can we do from here? And yes, the platform was set for Reloaded to keep, which was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't better than the first one, but I liked it. Part 3 just seemed a little far-fetched. I was like, okay, I like it, not bad. It's kind of like a Rocky movie, and Rocky 1, okay, Rocky 2, okay, Rocky 3.
Rocky
and
6.
Yeah.
Now you went way too far. Now let's bring it back.
But it exists.
It exists.
Yeah.
Now, the Matrix Resurrections, with the characters that were there, I just felt the script was very weak.
Yeah.
And I felt that you had all this time to get it together, and really, that's what you come up with.
Yeah.
It's just...
I couldn't go with Neo being a little whiny, like this meek.
Yeah. Video game
I'm
designer.
so scared to do
Yeah.
anything.
Video
Like,
game and he was doing the Matrix. Like, he
Right.
was like,
It's kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street when they had that going on, and then the new Nightmare. Oh, I was the actor, Robert.
Yeah,
Englund.
that
I'm
was
like,
so
come on,
strange.
you
Yeah, I
guys
remember
really.
that. Yeah, I
Well, it
remember
was
that.
weird
Yeah.
because now all of a sudden this new Matrix that the analysts built is literally surround. Like, if he says if Neo and Trinity aren't there, it just dissolves, and it's like really. So the total, like every human's mind is connected to this Matrix that can only exist with Neo and Trinity.
Yeah,
Like,
terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. So
it's just
Come
weird.
on,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not even terrible. It's just like it doesn't make any sense.
and to wrap up the words, I'm gonna start this off with you, Jesse. Why does our listeners and viewers should watch The Matrix?
I just think, if a lot of you are, around 30s or so, that you're going to get more of how it was, like, with the technology and stuff, of coming out of your shell, I guess, type of deal.
No.
I don't know. It's really hard to explain because it's just so many different things, but that's what I'm getting at, I guess. It's just kind of a mind blower. It makes you think a lot. You'll think a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got a friend that watched it recently with his teenage son, and was surprised at how well it stood. The original at least stood up to time.
Yeah.
It's still cool if for kids today. It's not like, oh, that's cheesy. Like it's
what's
still
that
actually,
about?
it stands the test of time. So, and it's a genre bender. It's a culture creator. I mean, there's a lot to the entire franchise. And I think it just starts off with the first one setting the stage with some amazing, both story points, themes, plot, all that, as well as the artistic side of it. The cinematography and then the special effects are just insane. They were definitely ahead of their time.
Yeah, the time and the writing went into it was.
Yeah, I mean,
phenomenal.
now you see bullet time and things like that pretty frequently, and high-speed camera stuff. But at the time. But that's why it still stands the test of time, because they're still using a lot of those same techniques and getting a lot of the similar shots to what happened then. So, yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, honestly, if you're trying to sell the Matrix to someone else, I mean, ultimately what I think attracts people is visuals.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the action. If you're trying to put it out there, like, okay, this is why you should watch it. They know that's what gets people to go see the movie. That's why every trailer is always these over the top. They don't put the philosophy in the trailer. They put action scenes. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would
booms.
that was yeah. So.
I would say overall, if I wrapped all three of your guys' comments, it would be the simple fact that it was 1999 going forward. It was something new.
Yeah.
And then especially with the effects, with the technology, and just the blend of cultures that were in there. I mean, it was very diverse. It's a really good movie going forward. I mean, if you're that type of person, cool, more power to you. If you're just sitting on the couch and want to watch a bunch of movies, I mean, they do have the Matrix trilogy and on top of the Resurrection if you want to do that. But to me, I wouldn't. It's like a Star Wars, because how a Star Wars kind of continues. The older one, it just continues. This one, it does as well, but it just loses you at the end. That's how I feel. But I mean, I do appreciate it. I mean, because of the characters. I am a Keanu Reeves fan, and I appreciate his movies. So that pretty much concludes The Matrix. You guys, we will be doing another edition, like we mentioned before, Dune Part 3, diving into characters. In March, for the premiere of The Batman, we are going to do a Silver Cosmo movie reviews of The Batman itself. So we're going to talk about the 89, Michael Keaton, all the Batmans. And you can throw in Adam West and even the older ones. The next Silver Cosmo movies reviews we're going to do is we're going to do Big Trouble in Little China. So what we're going to implement is a newer and older movie. So we're going to do all walks of life on these movies. And so that gives the audience a chance to hear us out. Say, hey, I'm going to find out what Silver Cosmo guys are talking about before I go see this movie. So I want to give on my end a shout out and thank you to the audience and the listeners as well. Thank you for you guys for being here. And so, Jesse, you got anything to say?
I'd like to go ahead and thank you guys out in interwebs land for tuning in. And to everybody here, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the next episode.